Alright guys, we're back with some more MX versus ATV All Out. Today we are going to take a look at 2020 Southwick, known also as the Wick 338. This replica track is sick. It was really well done, and I'm not surprised because every track we have tried has been really good. And this track is no exception. Very well represented in the game. Very well laid out. Just really good. It's really choppy. It's really rough. It has the ruts. It's actually kind of a tough track to play fast. It's really choppy, as it should be. It's easy to bounce off the track if you're not paying attention. So I feel like this is probably one of the roughest tracks that we've gotten out of the AMA Pro Motocross Championship at DLC so far. Really rough, really challenging. Just a fun track. And it's kind of weird because I am a big fan of Southwick, but in real life, I don't like sand. And this track is super sandy and gnarly and just pretty much everything that I don't like doing in real life. So it's kind of weird, but Southwick is actually one of my favorite national tracks out of all of them. Fun track to watch. I've seen crazy battles there over the years. A bunch of history with the track. It's just, I mean, I've rode in sand, but in Nebraska, we don't have a ton of sand tracks or anything. There was one in kind of central Nebraska. That was pretty much pure sand, like a beach. But I suppose knowing how tough this track is and how hard it can be riding in sand, it kind of, I guess that makes me respect the track even more. So the first laps you're going to see here are in third person, and then we switch over to first person for a lap because that's my favorite way to play these tracks. And I know some people really enjoy the first person, so we'll show you the track that way. And then at the end of the video, we do a bit of free ride and explore the map. And there is another track to show you in free ride and a few trails and just kind of a open free roam area. But back to the track. I already said it's choppy, it's rough. It's actually a really tough track to play. It does feel kind of sandy when you're playing it, but I was kind of hoping it felt a bit more sandy. You know, like I wish there was a bit more drag on the bike, making it feel a little bit more sandy. I mean, you feel it, but it's not as obvious as I was hoping it would be. I mean, it does feel a bit sandy, but what makes a track kind of slows you down a bit is how rough it is. The super choppy corners, the choppy straightaways, they just make you slow down a bit. All that pulls on the bike and makes the track rough and gives it that kind of Southwick feel. You know what I mean? Just wish it was a little bit more sandy. And it does have the ruts. The ruts do grab you. Maybe not as good as some of the other tracks, but I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it not being super grabby. It would be cool if you could kind of push those ruts back after every lap. You know what I mean? Where in sand, you know, the ruts will be changing and moving constantly. I mean, they do anyways, but in sand, they're really going to move. So it'd be pretty cool if you could do that. I mean, we do have the terrain deformation, and that will rough the track up even more, but it won't move the pre-existing berms and ruts. So, I mean, that's asking a ton to have the pre-made ruts and berms move and act like sand. I know that's asking a ton, but I love the track, so seeing anything to improve it would be great. But they did such a good job with the track. I don't I don't really have any complaints. The only minor complaint that I have is that, I already said it, I wish it dragged a tiny bit more on the bike and felt more sandy. It does, but not as much as I was hoping it would. So that's really the only complaint that I have, is that I feel like it should feel more sandy. But everything else, the environment, the scaling, really, really, really good. It feels like Southwick. It looks like Southwick. It's so good. It's really good. I mean, Unadilla is still my favorite track of all time, favorite track in the game, but Southwick is definitely up there with how they did the track. It's really fun. I spent a ton of time on it, just burning off laps. It was really fun to try and get a really, really clean, perfect lap. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. This track is awesome, and I do encourage you guys to try out the first person on these tracks, which we are hopping over to in a second here, because it's so fun. It's more immersive, and it just feels really, really good. Another thing I didn't really mention, and I want to mention it here, is that the shadows play a big part in this track as well. I mean, we have that on different tracks too, but here it kind of does affect you. Maybe not down the straight or up any of the hills, but in some of the corners, the shadows do really kind of cover up some of the ruts. Somewhere towards the end of the track, there's some pretty serious shadows, and it does make it kind of tough to find the rut, especially if you're racing with your buddies, and it does have the terrain deformation, so the more players you have, the more laps you ride, the rougher the tracks are going to get, the more player-made ruts there will be, and on whatever straights or whatever corners have those shadows, it's going to make for a tough time trying to find the line you want to take. It also would depend, obviously, on what time of day it is. For us here, it was midday, so it was really bright, and we had a ton of shadows on the track. At a different time of day, it probably, obviously, would look a little bit different. But if you get this time of day, it could be tough. On the back stretch of the track here, tons of shadows, which could make it tough after the track really, really tears up if you're doing a long race. And I believe after this double, there's some shadows too, which could make it tough to try and find whatever rut you're going for. Could make it tough, so I really appreciate how much effort they put into that part of the track too. And here at the end, we are free riding a bit. This is kind of a short trail that leads up to a small track here in the back. I love how they add this stuff to the replica tracks. I mean, some of it is real, some of it is maybe fake or exaggerated, but no matter what, it's fun to get that extra bonus content. I mean, they didn't have to do this. It's just an extra added fun part to check out. They did a great job on the replica tracks already. They didn't have to add all this bonus content. So it's just kind of fun to play on this stuff. And the track is actually kind of challenging. It's not hard, but it's really easy to over jump, under jump, and so you have to have some throttle control to be able to ride the track in a smooth way. You know what I mean? Really big jumps on this small track here. And as big of a fan of Southwick as I am, I don't know if this is real. Somebody in the comments, I'm sure, knows. If you do, let me know if this is actually a real thing or not. It feels like it could be, but they've had stuff that you guys have said wasn't really there. To me, since I don't know, it feels real enough. I mean, some of those jumps are massive and would be intimidating to actually hit, but it's really fun in the game. So just kind of an extra added bonus that you get if you buy the season pass. And the rest of the track is just kind of an open free ride area beside this track that we are playing on right here. So that's going to wrap up this video. You guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about it. What'd you think of it? Did they do a good job? If you've been to the track or if you're a huge Southwick fan, let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.